Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to get into Trump and his tariffs. We're going to talk about the secrets you haven't really heard. So, do me a favor, if you would like and subscribe, this video really makes a difference. Let's jump right in with that and watch some of what he says. And I'm going to flash some things on the screen so you kind of know where he's going. I might pause it as we go along here with that too. All right, here we go. Let me back up. Sorry.
1889 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 18...
Okay, so 1789, 1913. Why 1789? Well, the government was being formed, and we're talking about U.S. Treasury. You have to see what he's saying in the background, right? So, Treasury, who's in charge of the money? Okay.
1980s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons...
Wait a second. Who are they giving it to? Now, we will get to that one here in a second. But notice what he says. Who were they giving the money to? They were changing the process of who they gave it to. That is 1871 when they changed the Constitution. This is some deep level thinking that we're not always seeing it, right? Here we go.
Unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, it's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting...
Okay, so think about this for a second. You take away the IRS taxation, you bring in tariffs again, and you say, well, how can we be a wealthy nation, right? And I'm leaving this on the screen on purpose here in a second. I'll show you more about that, the system with that. Actually, let me pull it off here. These are the reciprocal tariffs, right? The tariffs charged to the United States for China is 67%. Like if we ship something in there, we ship grain for whatever reason. Now we're only doing 34%. I mean, people are complaining about this, but I'm going, you understand, they're already doing it to us. European Union, 39, we're only doing 20. Vietnam, 90% tariff, we're only doing 46. And real interesting number here, Israel, 33%, we're doing 17. Save Israel for last. Interesting point. Most of these other nations are getting maybe a 10, 15% tariff. Many of the car, the car ones are getting, like here's Japan at 24%. This car company is getting a 24% with that. Depends on that nation with that too. Let's see here if we can find South Korea, 25%. So there, if you think about South Korea, which would be Kia and Hyundai, Honda, Toyota, a bunch of these ones, also the big old nasty ones. The European Union, which does BMW and Mercedes. So you're seeing a 20-25%, kind of tariff point. And, and yet, every one of these countries outstrip us in what they do a tariff. We've been spending a ton of our money already, and we're underneath what everyone else was doing. That's why these countries are coming back to us. Trump has actually introduced a plan to add back in $5 trillion. Now, how much does the IRS bring in? $4.7 trillion. It's an easy flip to this. Now, here's an interesting statement I'm going to pull off here for a second, but I want you to understand what Trump was saying. Number one, he started to say from 1789 to 1913. You think he's talking about, tariffs and IRS. No, he's talking about Treasury. I mean, IRS had nothing to do with it. Tariffs were collected by Treasury with that too. So that tells you a Treasury tariff conversation are endemic inside of here. That's the money collection. Then he talks about how they're collecting the tariffs. So we're making a massive amount of money. Then he said they set up a commission in the 1880s to delete tariffs and where they were going to give it to. The fruition of the conversation comes in 1913 with the 16th Amendment. That is a crazy level amendment that makes no sense. It has not been ratified by some of the states' IRS. What also happened in 1913? The Fed, an abrupt end to it in 1929. What happens in 1929 to an abrupt end of tariffs? The stock market crash. So they were stealing money and making the people of America actually pay it in essence. And so what he's talking about is a gold policy. And he says, in the end of it, they have taken away so much of our wealth. And I say always, who took away the wealth? Who they're giving it to in essence? The cabal, right? This is some of the hidden messages in here. I found this a fascinating message on the same day that Trump is talking about this. Bongino says, just because you don't immediately see doesn't mean it isn't necessarily or isn't happening, right? Well, the 17th letter on January 21st, which is right after inauguration kind of day, in normal time frame, that would be, now it's not on the 7th, on 2018, but right after inauguration day, shall we play a game? Just because you don't see it or you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't ongoing. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean big things aren't happening. I know many of you are struggling in that circumstance. I know it. Today, we just found out that David Lesser Strait passed away. I am super sad about this. Some people, thought I didn't like him. That's farthest thing from the truth. I respected him at many, many levels. But here's the point. We need to be praying. Well, first off, pray for his family. This is a difficult thing. And when we see so many people, patriots like this, dying, it makes us, it makes a quickening inside of us. So today is the 3rd, and I know many of you are struggling, and I'm going to put this video out today here so that you can actually see it before the weekend. But guys, why am I telling you all of this same stuff, right? Why am I telling you all of these kinds of issues? Because you've asked for this, and how do we read what Trump is trying to say, and what does the tariff actually accomplish for us? It's a replacement of the IRS. Today is the Thursday, the 3rd. It's actually the exact date that Jesus died for our sins, April 3rd, 33 AD. Don't believe any other information because the actual research proves this point. Why is it on April 3rd, 33 AD is the same kind of date where we're doing the same kind of conversation in the tariff thing? Because we have believers stepping forward in this. This is going to be a cool time frame. Just be calm. It's coming. Thanks so much.